Welcome back, and I just wanted to acknowledge that I did get cut off at the end of the last PowerPoint presentation. I apologize. My software only allows me to create a 15-minute presentation. So we're returning to developing an encouraging classroom. And in this presentation, we're going to look at specific behaviors. And as you're thinking about these behaviors, I want you to be identifying or starting to brainstorm some strategies that might be supportive of these types of behaviors. That's going to be the expectation of your next assignment that you will complete. All right, so here are the behaviors that I was telling you about. These are common types of conflicts in an early childhood environment, again, in programs serving children birth through grade 3. Possession disputes. Sometimes there's that one favorite toy that there's just not enough of and children fight over it. Name calling. Sometimes children don't quite have the language skills or the ability to think of other things to say, and they retaliate to certain disputes with name calling. And attention getting. So we have kids that also need to get a caregiver's attention, and sometimes they don't quite know how to do so in a positive way, so they'll go out of their way to find various ways to get attention. And in the converse, there are also children who are escapers or avoiders who want to avoid attention. So when you're thinking of attention getting behavior, I want you to think of both. Those kids who go out of their way to get your attention and the kids who go out of their way to avoid your attention. And then power struggles. Power struggles can happen between children and adults and children. And so we're thinking of ways that we can support children who are engaging in power struggles. So I'm going to give you a couple of strategies just to get you started thinking about various methods that support children's behaviors. There's this one, you might have read about this in your text, the 5-finger method. So a thumb up would signify a cool down period. All right, we need to calm down before we move on to identifying the problem. And that's just with your pointer finger up. We need to identify a problem. And then the sign language sign for 3, we'll brainstorm some ideas together. And then 4, let's try some of the strategies that we brainstormed. And then 5, I'll follow up. So I like to think of this also, if you want to put another word to it, the flip it method. So write this one down. The F would be feelings. So 1, acknowledge feelings. That's the same as cooling down. As a teacher, I'm going to step in and I'm going to say, gosh, I could see that you are really upset. I wonder what's going on. And then move into limits. I see that you're really upset, but I cannot allow you to hit Tommy. And then the I in flip it would be inquiry. Gosh, I wonder what you can do instead. I can see that you really want that toy. And then the P would be practice, or in the 5-finger method, the go for it. Give the child a chance to practice the skills that you've brainstormed together. And then follow up. So there's just 2 quick methods. And then the peace wall, we talked briefly about in the last PowerPoint presentation, and then class meetings, which you looked at last week. So the peace wall again, 2 children and 1 teacher or 2 teachers. 1 person speaks at a time, everyone listens and respects other views, and this can happen sometimes 2 or 3 times a day, but this is where children can come and acknowledge that they need help solving a social conflict. And if a teacher sees children waiting at the peace wall, they know that they need to go and offer support to those 2 children. It takes practice. With any strategy, it takes practice. And then class meetings, the same. They need to be consistent. They need to be authentic. They need to be meaningful. This includes the entire classroom and a teacher. 1 person speaks at a time, everyone listens, and this can happen 2 or 3 times a week. So those are a couple of other strategies, and I look forward to reading about yours in the upcoming assignment. Okay, so this is the last slide for this presentation. How to sustain an encouraging classroom. Remember what I said in the first presentation? Really, the foundation of building an encouraging classroom is relationships. So make sure that you are supporting each child in the expression of his or her views. It's important that you send the message to children that their views are important. I know sometimes as an adult, as a parent myself, I get frustrated when I don't agree with my child's view, but if I send that message of frustration to them, then they feel like their view is not important. Maintain a positive and caring focus. Again, it all boils down to relationships. And then meetings are to solve problems, not to create them. Remember what you all talked about when you wrote about classroom meetings. It's not to call out an individual. It's not to call out a behavior. It's to solve a problem. And if you use it in a way that puts one child who's having a consistent problem on the spot or in the spotlight, they're not going to be effective. And then build an encouraging community that includes everyone. Again, relationships, relationships, relationships. So as we move forward, I want you to carry that thought with you, that guidance is all about the relationships that we build. And we're going to continue talking about this as we go. All right, everybody, the next narrative presentation will be all about the assignment description for the paper that you're going to write about guidance policies or guidance strategies. All right, see you soon. Oops, sorry.